Good news, everyone. So you may remember that in my New Year's resolution video, I said I was going to sell 500 records. And my intention was to sell those 500 relatively quickly because I wanted to use some of the proceeds to fund the purchase of a turntable. Now you may have thought, or maybe I thought at the time, there's no way that I'm going to actually do that. And I then made a follow-up video about 2 weeks ago saying that I identified most of, but not all of the records that I wanted to sell as part of this auction. Well, guess what? Here we are. I listed the first batch of 100 records on Sunday, like late afternoon. So the auctions will go through this coming Sunday. Most end, I think, between 5 and 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. And my eBay handle is CBWAYO. So yes, this is actually happening and there's no turning back. So what I wanted to do is a couple of things. First, inform everyone that yes, indeed, the auctions are live. A little bit of self-interested kind of thing going there. But I also wanted to address a bit of the process of actually listing records on eBay because it's not without significant difficulty. Especially when you're talking about this kind of quantity. It'd be one thing if I was only listing 1, 5, 10 records, but 100 records at a time. And again, I'm doing this in 5 separate blocks. So, you know, in fact, just creating the listings and posting them, independent of taking any of the photos, took me the better part of Sunday. So I want to talk about the process just so that people, I don't know, this is like helpful, I suppose, for anybody else who might be considering selling a ton of records as well. You got to know that it's going to take some time, but I also have a couple of sort of tactics or tricks or whatever that I use to help make it a little bit easier anyway. All right, so the very first thing that I did, and this is something that you can't automate, you just have to do it, is take all the pictures. Now, generally, for fewer records, I'll take really a bunch of pictures of every single title. If you go over to eBay, and I'll show you, I'll throw up an auction here, you'll notice that generally speaking, I took one of the front, one of the back, and one shot, sort of a wide shot of the record so that folks can actually see what the label is. If it's a gatefold, I do take a photo of the inside of the gatefold. That's it. All other condition details or sort of pressing indicators I reference in the actual description. I know there's a lot of people who take those close-up shots of the RVG stamp just to kind of prove it. But with 100 records, it was simply going to take too much time. So how do you take, so 100 records, right? So it's 300 to 400 pictures that I had to take. How do you take that many efficiently? So I do have 1 or 2 tricks, and these aren't groundbreaking, but they will save your knees and your back. And what I mean by that is that, like, you know, otherwise you're going to have the record on the floor and you're going to be like hunched over, like kneeling on the floor with your phone, like taking pictures, or you're going to be bent over the kitchen for like an hour or two, kitchen table, taking photos. So what I did is I use a tripod. In fact, the very same tripod that's holding my phone right now, or my camera. So I use a tripod. It allows you to tilt so it holds your camera. It allows you to tilt it so it's pointed down. So it's basically staring straight at my dining room table. I put out like a kind of a white canvas thing for the background because I don't like it when you have like people take photos on their beds or like you have weird stuff in the background. I don't want people to see my house. So I just, well, except for this room. So I do a neutral background and I take, again, these 3 or 4 photos. And one of the things that I did do though is I bought this little clicker, this thing right here. And maybe if I can find the purchase link, I'll put it in the description in case anybody needs one of these. So what this is, it's a Bluetooth device, pairs with your phone or your camera, and there's a photo taking button. Now there's one for iOS and there's one for Android. So why this is really helpful is because I can basically put a record in the frame. So like the cover of the album, I can put it in the frame of the camera on the table, and I can just click this button. Then I can flip, you know, the cover, so it's on the back, and I can click it, and then I take the record and I put it out there and I click it. So it seriously saves just this saves a ton of time. Because otherwise, like, here's the thing, when the camera is in the tripod, it's stationary and you don't have to worry about it moving, and like, you know exactly where to put the record and everything. If you just have your phone and you're kneeling down on the floor and you're like taking it, again, your knees are going to hurt, your back's going to hurt, and it takes a lot of time to actually just focus it in the frame, in order to press the click on your actual phone. Now, the other problem that you're going to have that I've had way too many times in the past is that when I'm holding the phone and taking a photo and it's pointed down, sometimes I don't have anything to show you other than this, but sometimes if it's like I over rotate a little bit like this, and all of a sudden the camera like basically flips upside down what it's taking a picture of, and then I have 100 photos or 300 photos in my phone, with every single one being either rotated 180 degrees or rotated 90 degrees, and then I need to go in and I need to edit all the photos, every single one of them, to rotate it back so that when I upload it to eBay, that it's looking okay. So all of that's a huge pain. You can get it right one time by just putting your phone in a tripod, taking the photo, double checking that it worked all right, and again, just clicking every single time. Just click on this thing. It is so much easier, and yeah, no editing needed. All right, so now the listings, because really the listings is what took me the bulk of Sunday. Those photos I actually took all of those photos, I think, on a different day. I think I took them on Friday. The listings is what took me from 10:30 in the morning, no, 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday until 5:15 p.m. That's how long it took me to do 100 listings and get them all up on eBay. Not efficient, and I'm convinced there's got to be a better way. But this is what happened. So I've never had to create so many listings at one point ever before. Normally I start with not just a blank listing. I created a template. You're allowed to create a template. So for those folks who are not on eBay, what you can do is you basically do one dummy listing and you put all of the things that are going to be in your listing regardless of which title it is. So what do I mean by that? You might want to put that it's in the jazz genre. You might want to put that it's an LP. You might want to put 33 RPM. You could put in the description your like shipping policy and your returns policy, and you can like automate all that kind of stuff. Not automate it, but you set it, you do it one time, and you can use that template so that every single time you create a new listing, you're starting with some of your work already done, right? So that goes without saying that you can create templates. It's pretty easy. And so what I typically do is just then create 10 different listings using that one template, upload my pictures, write the descriptions for each, and I'm done. This time I got ambitious. I went online and found that eBay can provide you either an Excel or a CSV template that is customized to what you're selling. So you tell eBay, hey, I'm going to be selling records. They create this template for you that includes in Excel or CSV, so a table format, that includes every field that is absolutely required for you to include in your listing. Because not everything's required. You don't need to have the year the thing was put out or the country of manufacture. But what you do need to have in every single listing: title of the album, the title of the artist, and I think that it's like a record. I think that's it. I think that's literally it. It used to be you actually had to choose some drop downs on the condition, and they stopped doing that, fortunately, because I don't like having condition as the drop down in addition to in the description. All right, so there's a template that you download for selling vinyl, and you input all that information that you have to have when you're selling vinyl, because again, some fields are required. So I spent from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. messing with the template, inputting all the information from the first 100 records. Now, not all the information, but I was hand typing the title of each record and the artist, I think the label, and just a couple of other things. But there was like a lot of formatting of the template so that you had to tell the template that it's going to be a 7-day auction and that there's a 3-day handling time, and like all of this kind of stuff that you have to put into it. So around 11:40, I was feeling pretty good. So, thinking surely I'm only within, say, an hour or two of actually being able to put all this stuff up on eBay and having it done. But no, I uploaded the Excel template and I got errors back. And eBay just tells you that they're errors. They don't really give you much detail on what those errors are. And these are errors that I couldn't correct. Like I needed HTML formatted description. I needed a link of where the photos were specifically for each listing. Or that I think I used a forward dash in the headline on a few of the listings, and apparently you're not allowed to use that or really like other punctuation at all in the template that you uploaded, even though once it's uploaded, you can add it in the listing manually. So anyway, it didn't work. So what I did is I copied all of that, reformatted it into the CSV template, which by the way is a different template. It's harder to understand and it's just different information. And I uploaded that and I got the same result. So I could not use the templates that eBay provided to upload. And so after almost 2 hours wasted on Sunday, I had to go old school with this. All right, so not entirely old school. I'm actually going to give you a sort of a caveat or two, because this is like a trick that I didn't know existed before, and I had to go research, and then I found out how to do it, and it did help out at least a little bit. It took away a little bit of the manual effort, and so I want to bring it up, because for those of you who also have records to sell, believe me, you can do it yourself. It just takes time. All right, so when you go into the Seller Hub on eBay, and you click on listings in the menu bar and then create a listing. And I'm going to presuppose here that you've actually already created a template, but you don't have to have a template. But in this case, I'm just going to say like, hey, I'm going to use this template that I previously created. And again, this thing just really has like my safe shipping policy and like, you know, some basic kind of text in the description that I like to use. And I'm just going to save one draft. So I'm going to use this template and I'm going to just save one dummy draft. It doesn't even need to have a headline in it. It can just be what you want included in every single listing, right? So I'm just going to save one of these. You can then go to Manage Drafts, and then you can click on the checkbox next to your draft, and you go to the button Create a Copy. And then you can tell it that you want 100 identical draft listings. Now, this in and of itself doesn't necessarily save, I would say, that much time, except that, you know, you're not having to, it's like 3 clicks, I think, to be able to, once you're finished with one auction, to then go back and create a listing and use the template and all that. And it's like 3 or 4 clicks. It's something like that in order to just create another dummy listing. So there is a little bit of efficiency just being able to go in and say, you know what, I want 100 listings all together at once. And then you can decide, do I want to go through these one at a time and from cradle to grave essentially and list them on eBay? Or do I want to go through all of them and just do the headline? Or do I just want to upload all the pictures right now and then I'm going to go back in later and do the grading? Like, you can kind of sequence, I guess, your work depending on how you want to do it. And I found that there was some efficiency in being able to create these 100 dummy listings all at one time. When it comes time to actually publish them, the other thing that you can do that I found incredibly handy that I didn't know you could do before is you can tell eBay to auto list them either 1 or 2 minutes apart, so they don't all end at the same time. And why that's beneficial is because there are folks out there, like I'm hoping some of you, who may want to bid on multiple items in my auctions. And so this allows you to not miss, you know, a record because you're bidding on another. So what you do need to manually do, unfortunately, is type in all the headlines for your auctions. But remember, I wrote those, or I typed those out that morning into my Excel document. I didn't just throw away the Excel document. I was copying and pasting those headlines into every single auction. And then I had to like manually input again the artist name, the album title, the fact that it's a record. So I kept to like really just the bare bones. And I think I did put in like genre. But there's so many fields in there, it's just way too much. So I wasn't going to go and like do all of them. Plus most people aren't even looking at all of those. So what you'll see is I'll often put in the label that it's on and then the genre, so that for people who search eBay based purely on genre, which is exactly how I find deals, by the way, on eBay. So what I do is I just do searches. I've covered this in a previous video. I do searches for like something like just LP, right? Like just LP in the search field, but then I choose from drop downs that I'm looking for vinyl, and then I'm looking for under genre jazz. And so I'm just looking at like what are the most recent records that have been posted to eBay. And then I just refresh every now and then. I refresh that search, and so I get to see exactly what somebody has classified as jazz that just came up on eBay. And it's often a way to find out about stuff like a split second after it's been listed. And if it's a great deal because somebody doesn't know what they have, then you can you just buy it. So anyway, that's my sort of pro tip. So as I was inputting all of this information, obviously I'm filling out the descriptions. I have the records next to me, and I'm checking the condition, and I made sure that like the lighting was good so that I could actually do that, like, you know, check the condition and notate some of the issues as I found them. And here's the thing: every time I do this, I always get a lot of anxiety that maybe I got it wrong on some records, but that doesn't really happen. I think generally speaking, people either believe that I grade accurately or that I slightly undergrade, but I don't want to necessarily promise that, because everybody has different ideas about what they think some of these gradings mean. So this process took me from lunchtime until 5:15 p.m. In fact, some of my auctions were already going live while I was still messing with some of the other auctions that I hadn't posted yet. So now I would love if someone could tell me with certainty that they could fix this eBay template issue for me, because I think it would have saved a lot of time. Here's the thing: I type really quick. And so me just putting in all of the headlines and the artist names, it really didn't take that much time. I think I probably type like 150 words a minute, something like that, especially if I'm like a cup of coffee and I'm focused. So I can type pretty quick. It's just that it was such a shame to have to go through all that exercise and then not even be able to use the template. As it is, though, I'm planning my next Sundays for the next like month or so to be doing this again and again. And so anything that I can do to help automate this would just help me out considerably. So if anybody out there, and I already have checked with a few people who post regularly on eBay, they say they don't use the templates. They say they did exactly what I did. And so I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be sort of going down this path. And I certainly am not going to spend another several hours troubleshooting it. I just wish that it was easier. All right, so yeah, I mean, I'll show you really quick, I guess, what this all looks like. But I mean, all of the items are uploaded, and you can kind of see here. I mean, obviously these started a couple of days ago. So at the moment that I'm recording this video, 4 days and 19 hours left. Probably by the time you see this video, there'll be something less than that, right? Maybe closer to 4 days. But in any event, I have a lot of like solid titles up on this, and I think I took reasonably good photos with decent clarity. Nothing has been, again, edited, so you're going to see kind of the brown muddledness of some covers, because that's what they look like. But I think that there's a lot of good stuff here. Obviously, the condition ranges, but some of the stuff you'd think might not be in great shape is actually in great shape, and then sometimes the reverse is the case. But yeah, there's like I said, there's 100 records up on here. There are 2 of them that are not in an auction format, and that is because they are electric recording company titles, and those are ones that I just couldn't stomach not having bidders for. I really felt like I needed something closer to what I paid for these records, and so you know, and those are also the only ones that I have best offers on. So in any event, there are 98 other records that are pure auction format that literally anybody can win. And yeah, I'm excited to watch this. And it's weird for me being on the other side of the table, because I don't sell that frequently, typically like once a year, and again, never in this kind of quantity, but this has just been a long time coming. So I'm really excited for this. I'm really excited for the next 4 batches, and I've even been thinking about adding a 5th, because I've gotten a little bit too excited about thinning out some of the collection. And it's not because I'm getting out of this hobby. It means that it's just because I want to make more room for all the records that I continuously have coming in. So that's kind of the plan. Hopefully, you know, people are at least somewhat excited about what I might put up, regardless of whether you end up bidding or not. So hopefully this video was at least helpful for somebody, and I wanted to make sure that I gave everyone an update, because it's been a few days since I posted these to eBay. I want to make sure that everybody knew that it had in fact taken place. And again, please follow CBWAYO on eBay, so that you know, I guess, when the next auction sort of blocks are posted. And certainly follow me here as well, because I'll be making videos. Probably won't make full-blown videos on every single one, but I probably will be doing some more preview videos of some of the titles that are coming up in those future auctions. And I'll certainly use the YouTube format to notify you all when these auctions are going live. So that's it for today. Wish me luck, and I'll see you next time.